talk about the jute. The jute is a weapon that I didn't get much training on probably in the first 20 years of my training. It was just a weapon that I'd seen books on, seen people use, seen people do little things with it, but really never got any kind of solid training on it. But I guess about 10 years ago or so, maybe a little longer, I got exposed to some jute information, started reading some books, started studying a system called Masaki-ryu, and got to learn some of the basics of the jute. But as far as the Takamatsu Den lineage, Tanimura Sensei, Hatsumi Sensei, Manaka Sensei, in the beginning days really didn't teach much. They would teach taijutsu with the jute. But over the years, I've been able to do like I always do, and I've organized some material that I've got from the Jinninkan and the Bujinkan, and organized it into a manual. So this is kind of the training manual that I teach from with the jute. It has, parts of the jute, the boshin, sentan, the kage, all the different parts that make up the jute, the reiho, dojo rei, all of that type of information. Kamais. So Manaka Sensei here, I don't know when, but he did release some jute material, and I was able to train with him in the jute, and a large amount of this information does come from the Jinninkan source along with Masaki-ryu. But the Jinninkan definitely has a system of the jute. Tanimura Sensei does teach the jute, but there isn't no organized system. Same thing with the Bujinkan. Obviously this is a picture of Takamatsu Sensei training Hatsumi Sensei in the jute, but he looks like he's taking notes, or they're training from a book, but I haven't really seen too much. Even if you watch the Bujinkan jute video, they're just doing like taijutsu on, with the jute in your hands. So what I had seen from some other ruhas, especially Masaki-ryu, there was an actual techniques done. So, as you can see here, I've got a bunch of material on the jute. So if you ever want to learn the jute, I've got everything organized here. I think this book is all you would need if you wanted to study the jute. Today I'm going to cover the basics of the school. So the jute. This is my jute. This is an iron rod. Mine is six-sided, so it's six-sided. Sometimes they can be round. I prefer one that has a little bit of an edge on it. Some of the tips can be a point, and usually it has like a tassel. I'm still looking for a really good one that would hang off the end. I have one here. It's made out of PVC pipe that we use for training. But the main parts of the jute is you have the boshin, which is the rod end of it. This is the most important part. This is where you're actually striking and hitting and blocking, the boshin, right? This is the sentan. The sentan is the tip. This is used to drive into parts of the body. You can actually hit with the tip, but you can bring it up and you can actually like drive it into the hands or into the neck or into the sentan here, which is the tip. You have the kage, which is the hook, right? Which is the hook. And you have the suka, which is the handle. And then you have the tassel that hangs off of the end there. And the way that you grip the jute is like you would grip a tanto. In the back in the day when I didn't know nothing about it and I was kind of self-teaching myself, I used to hold the jute with my thumb on the hook right here. But that's incorrect, and I was taught with the Masaki-ryu that my thumb is going to be cut off if I do that. This one here is a little bit, the handle's a little bit small for me, so when I make the custom training ones, I make the handle a little bigger for an American size hand, but I bought this one in Japan. But so your handle is here. You want a little bit of space between the kage and your hand, because the blade is down here and you're going to be moving this around some to twist and lock it in. So you don't want your thumb obviously up here when you catch a sword. It's going to be cut. So This is a little bit more of a guard, and if you can keep one finger between the kage in your hand, you're going to be in good shape. Don't put your thumb on top, and just keep this thumb. I usually try to keep this thumb between my index finger and my middle finger, so I just know that it's out of the way and I've got a good grip with the jute. When you're using the tassel, what you're doing with this tassel is you're wrapping it around the hand, and then you're basically making a small loop and you're catching it with your pinky. The purpose is so if the swordsman was to knock this out of your hand, the weapon doesn't fall, and then you can quickly bring it back to your hand. So if I'm training with the jute and it gets knocked out, I can quickly put it right back into my hand. So that's the purpose of the tassel there. And again, what you do with the tassel is you take it and you just bring it over top of your wrist, bring it back around through, pull that in tight to your wrist, and then just catch the pinky. And that's how I would have the jute. That's how I would fight with the jute here, right? So that's how you hold it. Reiho. The way you would bow would be to simply hold it with the kage down. Wherever the kamidana was, today it's going to be the sun. Onegaishimasu. If I'm bowing with a person, I can have the jute in my belt. Come here. Onegaishimasu. I can draw the jute out, hold it down to the side. Onegaishimasu. So that's some of the reiho with the jute. Then going into Seigan no Kamae, right? Making a fist here, eye level, straight across into your opponent's eyes. Okay. So one of the things I see a lot with Seigan no Kamae is people will lock their wrist and they'll look like this. And basically the energy coming through me into the weapon is now going up into space. I want to be able to transfer this energy into my opponent's eyes, into his mind, into his heart. So the tip of this needs to be pointing. So you have to imagine if it was like a laser light on the end of here, and I was in Kamae, the laser light would be shining on the ceiling. Bring that laser light down until it's in the opponent's eyes or into his heart. That is the proper way to do Seigan no Kamae. And obviously, we're going to put it in your right hand. There really isn't a left hand school. So if you're left-handed, you don't just put it in your left hand. The ninja aspect of it is, I should be able to use this jute in my teeth, with my feet, with my kneecaps, right hand, left hand, behind my head, behind my back. I shouldn't have any limitations on the ninja side of things. The ninja did work with the jute, but primarily the jute was a samurai weapon, and even more importantly, the jute was used by Japanese police in the Edo period. There was a time in Japan where it was illegal to carry a sword. The jute was carried in place to protect yourself from the bandits or the bad guys who carried swords. If you were to go into some temples or sacred places, swords were never allowed throughout Japanese history. But the jute could be carried in as a way to protect not only the temple, but to protect yourself. So the jute does have an important place in Japanese history, and I believe the jute is a very powerful weapon. And if I was able to fight someone with a sword, I feel pretty confident with the jute in my hand compared to having no weapon at all. You know, the word jute basically means the power of 10 hands, the power of 10 men. Ju meaning 10, te meaning hands. So it's literally 10 hands. So when I'm striking somebody with the boshin, some people call this a helmet crusher. Those helmet breaker, those are the names for it, but the true name is just the power of 10 hands, and using this boshin to strike just into the arm full blown would simply break the bones. If the person was to kick in and came down across the shin, his day would be over. One strong solid hit to the side of the temple, his day, maybe even his life, is over. And then being able to use this jute as a choking agent, or even just driving this down into his throat, using the kage and hooking it into his eyes or his mouth. This is a very brutal, powerful weapon. And in a trained hands, you can really take on many different opponents. If you had a jute and you were fighting multiple people unarmed, you would be in very good shape. If they decide to bring out knives and weapons, you'd be in very good shape. Obviously, the jute is going to do a sucky job against a gun. But if I could get close enough and I could hit the hand holding the gun, I would be able to break the bones in his hand. He wouldn't be able to pick it back up again. So it's a very good weapon. For a lot of years, I just played around with it. I've seen teachers play around with it. You know, they would pull out the jute, do a motegyak, hit him in the head. You know, use the boshin or the staff to do like onokanaki, or they would use it like an arm bar. And you know, they would pull jute out, and you'd be like, oh, cool, jute. But they were just doing taijutsu with the jute, just random taijutsu with the jute. And there wasn't any actual system. So by training with Manaka Sensei and what he created with the Jinin-ryu and then the Masaki-ryu information, I've been able to put together, you know, 10 pages so worth of solid notes to teach a curriculum on the jute. So the United States Ninpo Academy does have a solid jute system that we train with. And I don't really give it any type of name. I just say it's kind of, you know, Iga-ryu jute, or maybe based off of movements of Ninpo Taijutsu jute. So I don't know all of Masaki-ryu, and I don't even know all of the Jinin-ryu probably. I know the basics of both, and I've been able to put together a pretty good system with that. And I could try to apologize for not having it complete, but I challenge you to find anyone that has a complete jujitsu system that trains, a jute system that trains in a Ninpo school. Maybe some legit Koryu systems where the jute is a big part of their system, but then even them, the higher levels of the jute are just not taught. So it's just one of those weapons that's either phasing its way out, and it's very rare information, or it's just not many schools teaching it. But as you're learning, I could talk forever about this stuff. But Seigan no Kamae. It's here. Right. Down to his heart, his eyes. Seigan no Kamae. Right. And just like everything we do, if I want him to go this direction, I'm going to open up some and start to move in that direction, forcing him to go this way. Same thing, I'm going to open up and start to move this way, forcing him to go this way. If he's walking dead towards me, I'm going to drop this down towards his feet and to make him stop moving. I'm going to threaten, put the energy into his feet. So the feeling of controlling or manipulating your opponent with Seigan is how you would do it with the energy that you would emit through the weapon, from your spirit through the weapon, right? That is Seigan no Kamae. Next, it's Gyakute Seigan no Kamae. Basically taking the jute, turning it over, and grabbing it along the hand, using the pommel at the very end of the suka, and again pointing that to my opponent's eyes. This gives me the ability to block, also gives me the ability to hit with the pommel and then strike with the boshin. So I can actually hit, and stab with the sentai. So I can actually use a lot of different weapons from this Sakate Seigan no Kamae. Also, if I had it in my belt, you know what I mean, and I'm bowing and I'm attacked, being able to bring this out as a defense mechanism, and then being able to go into Kamae from here. Right? Sakate Seigan, having it reversed. Next is Hira no Kamae. Hira no Kamae. Same thing, protecting something, not letting anything past you. Manaka Sensei likes to have the tip at the eye level, hand at the eye level, straight out. That's Manaka Sensei. Me personally, I don't want to change anything. All of my training so far has had both of my hands coming out eye level for Hirichimonji no Kamae. So what I want to be able to do with this is when I go to Kamae, I want to be able to do the same thing every time. I don't want to have to change it because I have this particular weapon in my hand. So for me personally, I keep both of my hands straight out here, right? So I'm still able to strike with it, right? So having the hand posture the same as you would for Seigan no Kamae, just having it out here for Hira or Hira Ichimonji no Kamae. You know, and then the movement can be striking like this here from the Kamae. This is Hira no Kamae. Next, Jora no Kamae. From Seigan, bringing it here. Or if he has a weapon, it can be here. So if the person has a sword, I have to be very careful about putting this out close to his sword. It's flesh and bones, forged steel. Not even. So what I want to maybe do is if he has not drawn his sword yet, I can be in this position. If he draws his sword, I'm going to bring this hand down, touching my leg. And then this is going to be up 45 degrees. Just like if I had a sword, it's going to be 45 degrees, right? It's going to be off. Here. Jodan no Kamae. Next is Geira no Kamae. Seigan. Geira no Kamae. You can lean forward. Just make sure the knee does not go past your toes so you stay balanced. But generally here I can be back and I can be pointing it down. But from Seigan, generally I shift more 50-50 the legs and point this down towards the toki, or the top of the foot. Seigan, Geira. Seigan, Geira. Next, Jumonji no Kamae. I want the hands up around neck high. Never, not never, I don't want to say never. Normally never do I have the left side forward and the jute behind my hand. Normally the right leg is going to be forward and the right hand is going to be forward, all right? And I don't want my hands touching. I want space. I need to be able to move my hands. So I don't want my wrists stuck. I want it loosely clenched. Next, hoko no kamae. Very much like the taijutsu, hoko no kamae. Next is kosei no kamae. Kosei no kamae. So this hand is close to the chest. Something comes in to strike, I have a hand here to be able to block with. This is coming down any way. So I'm going to be here, blocking, striking. Here, blocking, striking. Here, punching, hitting. So that is kosei no kamae. Next is zagamai. Zagamai is basically having the weapon in your belt, sitting down in seiza, sitting down in fudoza, seated position. So it's wearing or having the jute next to you in a seated position. So I really don't need to show that. So practice sitting in seiza and fudoza with the weapon. That is zagamai. I don't think I need to demonstrate that to anyone. The last kamae is shizen no kamae. It's a naturally standing position. Shizen no kamae. Shizen. Jute ukemi. Using the bow shin to be able to block. And you need to be able to do this from any kamae. Seiga no kamae, hoko no kamae, geira no kamae, whatever. This is the jodan area. So basically from the solar plexus to the top of the head is jodan area. To the go-rin, which is the belly button, solar plexus to the belly button, this is the chuden area. Below the belly button down to the ground is the geidan area. So you have the geidan, chudan, jodan. So this is jodan ukemi. Anything that's being attacked from this area here, from any kamae. Not part of the system, but I have jodan and then I have geidan. Don't forget about the chudan. Chudan is just as easy moving from here to be able to block to the chuden area either way. You know what I'm saying? Using the hands to help push things, or just using this and hooking, hitting and hooking into the chuden area. So chuden ukemi is not part of the curriculum, but it should be. But this is jodan ukemi. So to make it easy, from seiga no kamae, basically being able to step out, hit, and then once I hit, catch the kage. Step, hit, catch with the kage. So it's just a 1, 2, 1, 2, hitting, catching. But imagine an attack coming in, hitting this and blocked, and then using this here to catch with the kage. And there is a skill and a developed talent. So even if I had someone coming in with a sword, I would be doing it effortlessly, but there'd be slight angles and twists with my wrist that I would be doing to hook into the blade. And there can be some kuden that can be taught if we were together, but watching a video, you would probably never get it. But trust me, when you have someone come in with a sword, and with the real jutes, it's made for a katana, very small for a katana blade. If you're going to use a wooden sword or a bokuto, you're going to need to make out of PVC pipe something that a bokken can fit into. This one here is made out of like a plexiglass, or Lexan. It's very strong, and it has a place where a small bokken can fit into it. And this is a good training one here. This one's probably $30, $40. A decent jute will probably cost you $150 to $200. You go down to Home Depot and buy some PVC pipe and some elbows and some glue. You know, you might invest $15, and most of it's going to be the glue. And then I just, wrapped it with some cord to make a handle, and then got some purple strings. You see there's basically your red tassel and purple tassel. The red tassel was for lower ranking warriors. The purple tassel is for a higher ranking. So the color of the tassels when worn, especially as like a police officer or even a samurai unit, by just seeing the color of the tassel could represent the individual's rank. It's like having the rank on the sleeves for military. They would use the color of the tassel to determine the rank. So red for a lower class, purple for a higher class. But you're going to need to get some different training tools, because these don't hurt as bad as hitting with the real metal. Even the Lexan can hurt a lot. So you have to really be careful with these weapons. But it is the power of 10 hands, so it should hurt. So again, Jodan, from Hokono Kamae, being able to block, and then once I've blocked, I can change the angle to catch, throw it away, strike. Use this Jodan Uke to hit, and then capture this, and come in and disarm the weapon, step back. Now I have a blade and I have a jute where I can be here with the weapons. So this is definitely a disabling tool and a disarming tool. So I'm hitting into the arms or to the blade. If I hit the blade strong enough and the blade is not quality, especially if you're trained with like aluminum alloy and you've got a real jute and the guy cuts down, and even easily you just hit it like that, that aluminum alloy sword is just going to have a 90-degree bend in it, and you're going to ruin it, because then you're going to be trying to bend it back. It'll never happen. So that's why you have to have some of the training weapons to train with the bokuto or fukuro shinai. If you're going to use a real metal jute, then you're going to need a really good sword. And even if you have a really good sword, you go banging this metal jute on it, it's going to ding and neck it up. So be really careful with the real jutes. I've hit people very lightly, and I've seen immediate bruisings, look like a golf ball in seconds after hitting it. So this is a very powerful tool. Even with the PVC, I've hit people with that and left welts. So you have to be careful, because these techniques are designed to crush and to break and to disarm, and they're brutal techniques. So train these basic motions down, get them down really well, because when that sword comes in, you're not going to have a lot of time to defend yourself against someone who's coming with multiple cuts. Because a lot of times you're just going to be using this to block, and you've got to have a strong wrist. You hit too hard at the top, the sword can come through and come across. So you've got to really have your body behind these strikes, and your arm and fortitude and strength behind the strikes, or they're just not going to work. Next is Geidanuchi. Again, from any kamae, preferably this would be a Jodan no kamae, but most likely I'd be in Seigan no kamae, or maybe I'd be here and then I'd be coming for like a lower leg. But just to cover the basics from Seigan, just like we did here, stepping out and striking high for Jodan, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to step out, but this time I'm going to come in, kage towards the sword. Boom. Good strong wrist. A little bit of an angle, hit. Making sure that I'm moving my whole body offline. I'm going this way, the outside leg comes, and this is coming here. And again, I want to make sure I'm outside. I don't want to block here because I'm still going to get cut. Have this out. It's just like Gedan no Kamae. But you can't make this big circle from the attack coming in. You just need to drop down. Same thing here. I don't come out and then come across. From here, forward, here, down. So don't make big motions. Don't do this stuff. Just move and have a little tick on your wrist to put some juice behind it. But Gedan, so, shi, go, rock, sich, uch, ku, chu. Gedan. Next, Zenki Ukemi. Zenki Ukemi is blocking something coming down from above. It can be on an angle or it can be straight down. From Shizen, I'm going to step forward with the right leg and bring the jute up on an angle so the sword hits on the angle and then comes down and is caught into the kage. And then from there, the wrist is twisted, and that's what locks it in. All right? Come on. Some people teach this. I've seen fingers get cut. Come up strong, weight down, thighs strong, pushing up. If you feel him start to come towards you, put your hand on your own wrist and turn and throw the weapon away. Or if you feel him start to come, turn some so it slides down in, then twist, then you can do techniques. So you're not staying up here long anyway. It's probably going to look more like that. Or once you hit, catch, you're going to learn to come in and attack, getting the blade out of the way. Right? So Zenki Ukemi is just stepping forward. The next section is talking about how to strike with the jute. Just using this chrome one here so you can maybe see better the camera. But this is Shiho Uchi. This is basically the 4 ways of being able to strike with the jute. And these are going to be strikes that are going to come on a vertical direction. The next section is how to strike on a vertical aspect with the jute. This is called Shiho Uchi. There's basically 4 different ways to strike. The first way to strike with it is stepping forward with the left foot, striking with the right hand to the go-rin, maybe the Shichibatsu, or even to the Kimo. But it's basically stepping and it's a low strike. So I'm moving offline because we want to stay alive, right? Hitting to the stomach. So you get the idea. Left foot step, right foot hit, senton. The next one is being able to step with the right foot and the right hand and striking up to the chin or maybe into the hand, or I'm going to hook the hand or strike. Chin, throat, upper area. Right leg step. H. H. So. Chi. Go. Go. The next one is being able to strike behind me. So if I'm here, stepping with the left leg, one thing that's important is watch my left shoulder. The hip and the shoulder move first, offline. Don't just pivot slowly. Shoot that whole side of your body. So if I'm here fighting and I'm attacked, being able to turn and strike. Once you've turned and struck down, you can then combine strike 1, 2, 3, and step again 4. And the fourth one is hitting with the kage. First one, senton. Second one, senton. On the third one, coming down, hitting with the kage or the boshin. The last one, coming up, striking with the kage or the suka pam. Right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and that puts them all together. Ich, I, so, shi. Ich, I, so, shi. Ich, I, so, shi. Just learn how to put those together smoothly. Those are the 4 vertical strikes. Next is Shiho Yokouchi. This is learning the flat sideways strikes. I'm going to do that with an omote shuto and an ura shuto with the boshin. Also an omote shuto and an ura shuto with the suka pam handle. So the 4 strikes will look like this. Ich, I, so, shi. Again. Ich, I, so, shi. And these can be done on that jodan level, chudan level, geidan level. Ich, I, so, shi. And when you put it together, you can move vertically, horizontally with different strikes. Being able to just freestyle some, any kind of motion that you want to be able to move and be able to block with the jute. So, have some fun with the jute.